We're still paying close attention to the Alex Bregman sweepstakes. And now that the Cubs have some money to work with, at least I think they do, I'm looking closer at Bregman and the potential pitfalls that would stand between the Cubs and adding the all-star third baseman. How about the Cody Bellinger market? Do you believe for a second that he could potentially be a Cub again? I don't. I'm going to tell you why. The Cubs also offer arbitration to a couple of hurlers and are fun right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, hit that QR code right there and be part of AveD. That's Mick Nation. Great to talk to you guys. It's the weekend. I know you're excited about it. What's going to happen? Keeping our ear to the ground on the latest Cubs happenings. And we're going to get into that now. Let's go. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs baseball channel, and it is good to see you guys here today, as always. All right, let me get into this. We keep following this, and I think that this is important. The day before the Cubs made the trade for Edward Cabrera, I said, watch this. And I said, this is one of those situations where you just feel like the Cubs would jump in on this. It's not going to cost you anything. You're going to trade some players, and money-wise, you're going to trade some of your prospects, but you're going to get what you want. They proven that they'll do that. Now there's money to be spent. And I just feel like the Cubs, if they can't afford Kyle Tucker, they're going to put the money on Alex Bregman. So what's the latest info on Bregman? All right. First thing is that the Diamondbacks have basically put out that they're not going to trade Kendall Marte, their second baseman, all-star second baseman. So that tells you that they don't have the funds to just go out there and pay for Marte and this and that. Like, it's a small market team. I think they're out of the Bregman sweepstakes. Take them out. The other one is his team from last year. That's the Boston Red Sox. And basically, the Red Sox are reportedly satisfied with their offer to Bregman. Right? That they feel like it was an aggressive offer. You hear that basically they feel like they gave him a lot last year. He signed with them and then opted out of his 3-year, $120 million contract after being the Red Sox third baseman a year ago. He had 273, 18 home runs, 62 batted in. He's a 3-time All-Star. He was injured last year, or he would have had an even better season. He's a winner. I think you can take that away from him. Someone that if you're not going to have Kyle Tucker, you might as well have his old former Houston Astros teammate in Alex Bregman. If the offer was so aggressive, then why haven't they signed it yet? I feel like the Red Sox with the whole, and I've said this before, this is just my opinion. If I'm Bregman and I show up, Rafael Devers is your third baseman. I sign with you. We both play third base. You guys haven't handled it. He's pissed off. I'm not happy about that. No, I mean, just the human element of it, right? Is that why he opted out of his contract? Probably not. It's just a money thing, but still, I mean, you show up to work and somebody thinks that, they got your job or you got their job. It just turns into not a good situation, right? They traded Devers. But I look at this situation here, and I say with Bregman that there could be, some hurt feelings. Maybe there's part of this is like, hey, I want to go somewhere where they're not going to put me in that situation. And I think that's the Cubs. I think he'd be a great Cub. They need a right-handed batter. You put him in the lineup, it's going to make the lineup a whole lot better. If you don't trade Nico Horner, I mean, think about the infield that you'd have with Bushy at first, Nico at second, Dansby at shortstop, and then this guy at third, right, Bregman. And then if I'm the Cubs after that, I'm really targeting if I could find one, if maybe Baltimore would trade one of their star catchers, but I'd want a catcher. I mean, that'd be the only other thing, right? I mean, I feel like we're kind of set. You're not doing anything with Happ and left. You got Pete Crow Armstrong in center, and then Seiya Suzuki would be in right, hey, and then what is it? Kevin Alcantara would be, your guy that you would kind of have as your young up and comer. So I guess that's kind of where things lay right now. And then Shaw's your utility guy. I think that's a pretty good roster. So we'll see. I just feel like the Cubs are going to have to do something with these bats. And that's what I'm thinking that it is. I think it's Bregman. So an aggressive offer. Maybe they're waiting on the Cubs to kind of, hey, let me get this out of the way. We made this trade for Cabrera. Now we know we're going to have this much money to spend. Are they going to give him, a 6-year deal? Probably not. But I could see them being pretty aggressive at 4 years, maybe 3. And it would be nice to kind of have that position covered. I don't think the Cubs have had a real star third baseman since Chris Bryant, and then before that, Aramis Ramirez. But it's a position around the diamond that, like, you think about. There's really, over the course of time, there really haven't been that many star third basemen. I think Cubs fans would say Ron Santo would be their all-time favorite, but you can't take anything away from KB. All right, here's the other thing. And now this is one that I look at, and I keep hearing that the Cody Bellinger sweepstakes stuff, right? So according to a lot of the reports, the Yankees have made Bellinger their top priority. And he had a great season a year ago. Obviously he's just 30 years old. He wants to get that deal that we kept hearing about, right? Where he wants like 7 years, not going to get it. Yankees aren't going to do it. And he wants $36 to $37 million, not going to happen. Every time that he's run these, free agency deals, Bellinger hasn't gotten even close to what I guess he thinks that he should be getting, right? I still think that the Cubs are not in this. I just don't. I know he had a 4 WAR last year. He had a good season. He's only 30 years old. His first year with the Cubs, he was a really good player. But I mean, are they interested in Cody Bellinger for $150 million or $250 or $260 or $270? I just don't think so. And I've said it before, and I mean, I'll say it again, right? I just don't see Cody Bellinger as a fit for the Cubs. How do you trade a guy for no one? I mean, they got Cody Poteet back for him, and they sent $5 million with him. You can't go back and sign this guy. It's just impossible. You just can't. But he's got Scott Boras as an agent, and they keep like saying, the Cubs have checked in on him. Like, I'm sure you check in on him, but that's like like for guys, like you had that girlfriend and you broke up with her, and then everybody else, dumped you, and you're like, hey, maybe she wasn't that bad after all. I just don't think that's happening. Girls, the same thing with the guys. Maybe things didn't work out the way that you wanted them to. I just don't see this guy coming back in a Cubs uniform, especially with a big, long-term, expensive, lucrative contract. Just not happening. So you're going to hear this. It feels like agent talk to me. I think the Cubs are a lot more likely to do something with Tucker if the market isn't what he wants. Hey, bring him back for a year. We give him. I just think that could possibly be a scenario here, especially after you make the trade and you give up Owen Casey, who I think has the potential to be a bona fide star in the big leagues. And I think a lot of scouts thought that too. The Cubs, I think they might have traded him at the deadline last year if they could have gotten a starting pitcher like a Mackenzie Gore or something like that. But I know there's a hesitancy there, and there should be. I mean, he's a really, really talented young player. But I think everyone's kind of, just reading your messages, like we're all kind of excited about having a starter in Edward Cabrera, and you want somebody at the top of your rotation that throws gas. You hate to give up your best players, your best young players the last 2 years, but if the goal is to win a World Series, let's see what they do now. They got some cash to work with, and there's some good players out there. Now, talking about arbitration, Edward Cabrera, arbitration done there. So he's going to get paid over $4 million a year now. Justin Steele got his arbitration contract done. Or got the deal done to avoid arbitration, right? You make these deals so that you don't have to do that. But yeah, good to see Steele back. I'm excited about him being healthy, and looking forward to this. This rotation. I'm curious to see what the Cubs do between now and the start of the season, because they've got an abundance of starting pitching, and then eventually when Steele comes back, but the piece to watch is the bat. Where are they going to go? They're not going to sit with this lineup right now the way it is, right? They're going to add a big piece. That's why they made the trade and they didn't sign a free agent. That's why they didn't want to pay Zach Gallen. For about 20 minutes, we thought we had him. It didn't happen. I don't want to say Bob Nightingale gave us fake news, but he got some kind of report that turned out to be false. For whatever reason, there's probably a lot of truth to it. We don't know. But the rest of those guys that you could get right now, the Framber Valdez, Ranger Suarez, like the top of the rotation pieces, they didn't want to pay the big money for. So they make a trade and they get a guy. Now it's time to go out and sign someone. All right. Hey, good to talk to you guys as always. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Make sure you're part of Avenue D. I want to give some of these hats. I think I'm going to give away a hat tomorrow. So, get in there today so that when I read your stuff tomorrow and that I'll be able to do it. Make sure you put your email address in there too, so that I know how to get a hold of you. So anyway, get your address. All right. Thank you guys. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, and we will do it again tomorrow.